welcome everyone, whomever is attending live, will hear this over the recording of the webinar. This is a joint webinar between TDM and Scoutbee. TDM, one of the leading consulting companies in Saudi Arabia, specialized in procurement and supply chain. Scoutbee is one of the hottest startups, I would say, in the market when it comes to procurement AI, coming with a bunch of innovative solutions. And today we will present the impact of generative AI in procurement and supply chain. We'll talk about the trends, the applications. Asghar will introduce a Scoutbee solution, and we'll wrap it by how we can help customers in the Saudi market. So let's get started. So we have full agenda today, co-hosted by TDM and Scoutbee. We have the speakers today, which is a TDM team. I'll start by Mr. Tala, his senior strategy consultant, CEO and co-founder of TDM. Ahmed Amir, he's a subject matter expert in supply chain and procurement. Many years working in the hardware operations and fulfillment. Big names like Tesla and GoDaddy. Myself, Mohammed Daoud. My background is data science and AI. I'm an AI smart cities consultant, and of course, Mr. Asghar, who is a sales director of Scoutbee, and he's a star of this webinar. Mr. Tala, would you take over the slide?
Yes, حياكم. Welcome everybody. TDM is a management consultant company working in Saudi Arabia. We did many projects in the management consultation, strategy specialist, and plus supply chain, more than 12 billion riyal for the size of our client, more than 800 million saving in our project, more than 47,000 workforces in our client, and average of our experience in our consultant, 20 years in supply chain, specialist in procurement, and in strategy.
Fantastic. I'll move to the next slide. And in this slide, I want to talk a little bit about generative AI just to set the stage. I know that we as TDM, we have been focusing on AI in general since early last year. We did a bunch of webinars, we published some white papers about generative AI and its impact. And again, we're still in the theme of generative AI. So I will reiterate again, what is generative AI? It's like a buzzword that we keep hearing, but if you get to the core of it, generative AI is a type of artificial intelligence that helps you create data out of existing data. But it's not just like data, just like creating like any dummy data. It's more of understanding this data, and as if it's a human being who's thinking and creating some kind of like new data for you. And at the heart of this generative AI, there's something called the large language model. And these are the models that are trained on vast amount of data, structured and unstructured data, to be able to create for you this human-like text output. Or it could be video output, or it could be image output, if you're using more of a foundation model, which is like a bigger umbrella that encompass large language models. We're all very familiar with what you call ChatGPT, which is an OpenAI Gen AI service. But ChatGPT is powered by GPT 3.5 and GPT 4, which are the large language models powering this whole generative AI solution. And generative AI is very generalized. So that's why sometimes when we take it to apply to a specific use case, we need to do what we call fine-tuning, where we fine-tune this model to be applicable to our very specific use case or applicable to our own data. I'll give an example how we can use generative AI, maybe procurement. And I put here two questions, like what is the risk exposure buying raw material in Indonesia? Or which palm oil supplier at net zero and carry less than 14-day lead time? Currently, right now, if you ask these questions to your analyst, it will take them several hours, like maybe even days, to answer these questions, and they have to go through like a ton of material and analyze a lot of things. And maybe they'll come back a week later and tell you, here's the answer. Wouldn't it be fantastic if you could ask these questions to a chatbot, and this chatbot will query all of your data and give an answer just within a few minutes, instead of many man hours and few days to get an answer? This is the power of generative AI that is taking the market by storm and will transform almost every industry. And I'm quoting here from McKinsey on the bottom right-hand side that 20% of procurement function could be eliminated by generative AI. And this shows how much efficiency would be brought by generative AI once it's really fully developed and fully embedded in your organization. But I want to caution, be a little bit cautious, because it's a journey and we should not expect to see all those results from day one. It's a journey that we should take together. We should partner with an SME like ourselves, TDM, and innovative startup like Scoutbee to embark on this journey. Start with a small proof of concept, start with small quick wins till you finally reach this 20% of efficiency. I want to pass it to Ahmed to talk about some of the functions that will be disrupted by Gen AI and then introduce Scoutbee.
Thank you, Mohammed. And yeah, like when today's market, as they always say, the only constant we have is changing, right? Change is the only constant. With all going on in the world between disputes, hurricanes, I would say COVID and all that, there's always changing going on with the supplier, with the pricing of the material. And historically, even until now, as a supply chain function in procurement and sourcing, we used to act to this change in a reactive way, no proactive way, which means that we see the event happen and then we explore how can we avoid it. But with Gen AI, I think it is nothing better time than today, when we have a tool to analyze what's going on in the pricing of the commodities, on the what's happening in the world. Like I was just talking to Mohammed early on today, we have a flood in San Diego, California, and we actually have a supplier who's based there. We're supposed to buy from the supplier. So at the moment, we are discussing with my coworkers how can we find a different route, a different supplier to react to that. But with tools like that, Gen AI, it can provide the analysis and the intelligence for us as a procurement managers or supply chain. Where can we find a better solution? Which supplier we can buy from in the market to avoid these situations. From a contract management, there's a lot of opportunities also to read through the contracts, RFPs, and come with the red lines and respond to the suppliers or the providers. In invoicing, there's a lot of opportunities for doing three-way match and open POs in case they run out of the POs. Supplier management to discuss which supplier measure their KPIs and the key performance indicators and etc. So there's a ton of opportunities. And with that being said, I see the best one who can explain to us or show us a use case is Scoutbee today. We're lucky to have you here today. Thank you, Ashgan. And we'd love to learn more about what your tool can do now in the procurement function as of today, 2024.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mohammed and Talat, for inviting Scoutbee. I will go through a quick sort of slide just to show our background and what we've been up to. Interestingly, you mentioned a flood being one of the sort of starting points, and that was actually the starting point for Scoutbee. So if we go back over a decade ago, my CEO and founder of Scoutbee, he was actually a procurement professional for a large automotive company in Germany, and overnight the tsunami happened and he lost 50% of his suppliers overnight. And what he tried to do was try and go and look on Google to find out who else was out there. And with his computer engineering background, in his studies in computer engineering, he decided actually there must be a better way of doing this, bringing it back to Excels and things like that. So he started to build algorithms and ways to crawl the web, and that's where the journey really started for us. In 2015 he founded the company, and in 2017 we launched our first product. And as you can see, we've been backed by some great names. Unilever, Siemens, Audi are like the guys who have been stuck with us from right day one, and absolutely love what we're doing with technology and driving us forward as our customers, partners, to push what we do forward as well. So discovery was where we came from, and where we've started to now evolve into is more around the existing suppliers. Sorry, if we can just move on the slide. I don't know who's controlling, so I'll just ask to,
I'm controlling. Yeah, so I'm controlling.
yeah, I'll just give you a
take,
quick thumbs up,
yeah,
and then we
give
can
me
move.
like a quick hint and I'll move it on.
Yeah,
thank you.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, fast forward to today and fast forward to last year, everyone was talking about ChatGPT, right? And ChatGPT brought everything to the forefront. People were using AI a long time before then. Probably didn't know about what sort of uses of AI they had, and generative AI almost came up to the forefront because of things like ChatGPT. We've now been, with the studies from Gartner and everyone, we're now seen as one of the thought leaders in generative AI. So you can see we've done a number of different events and articles and white papers around generative AI, and we've done a number of seminars with some big organizations on our side. Sorry, Mohammed, next slide, please.
Yes.
As I mentioned, the two focuses for Scoutbee are existing suppliers and new suppliers. New suppliers about finding new suppliers, trying to identify new suppliers in a market that you may not be well aware of, and not going through the old-fashioned tools of old databases or possibly Google, and using ways to be efficient, that 20% more efficient in these cases. Existing suppliers typically focused on your current supplier base. So those are the two areas that we're primarily focused on. And you can see some of the challenges. This is again from a McKinsey study as well, to show the types of challenges that we support and the types of challenges that we see within procurement, and McKinsey have and other blogs have spoken about quite highly in terms of efficiency, in terms of innovations and cost saving. So those are typically the types of areas that we're focused on and trying to help our clients. And how we've done that over the years is through AI, and now even more so with our Copilot and some of the solutions that we've brought in. Next slide. And feel free to just click through this. I don't want to spend too much time on this particular slide, but the idea is that as much as those are the five sort of areas that you're focused on, there's a lot of things that go with this, and so a lot of information and data points that are required in order to come to that procurement excellence. So not only do you have to find out the geopolitical or cyber risk or inflation or all of this information about suppliers, and having all of that information, you have to do it with tighter HR budgets as well. So again, another study showing how teams that have barely increased by 3%, and workload and information requirement has grown by over 10%. So these are the challenges, and why that efficiency and the Gen AI is making really good sense for companies to start utilizing, because of that gap of getting that completion of work. So if we skip on to the next slide. And again, maybe if we can just click through this particular slide, what we found with our clients was the major challenge that they were seeing was they had a lot of that information, and as Ahmed mentioned, trying to understand, sorry, Mohammed mentioned about how do I get that information about that particular vendor or what a vendor is doing in this space. It's difficult and it takes hours because typically you have missing data, or it's the fragmented data, or there's manual workaround. So this is why it's so inefficient in a current workspace to try and find efficiency and trying to find that information that you're looking for. And if you can click onto the next slide. How Scoutbee support this is, first of all, we aggregate the data, we structure the data, and then we let you connect to it. So as Mohammed said, and the team have mentioned a couple of times, this is a journey. This isn't something that will happen overnight. You connecting to your data today may not give you the results you're looking for. So you have to go through this process. You have to go through that first step of aggregating your data, structuring your data, whether or not that's your own data lake, whether or not that's your own information. But once you start feeding that, then connecting and querying your data is the key here. So if you just flick onto the next slide for me, I can showcase what Scoutbee have been up to. So with our clients, what we've been doing is, with our intelligence platform, we've been ingesting data, any data essentially from the client, which is, it could be master data, it could be contracting information, could be sourcing history, could be supplier performance, as well as policy data. So one of the questions earlier on was around policy, what's within our sustainability or EU sanctions policy or whatever it might be. So having those policies available. And then what we do, or what Scoutbee do, is add third-party information. So this could be risk, diversity, ESG, whatever is important to our clients. And then what we bring in is the products, capabilities, certificates, locations, and a number of sort of key metrics. Once we add all of that information in, what you'll see in that middle bit is connection. So this is where we aggregate that data, we connect it, and we structure it in a way using knowledge graphs to then be able to query the data. So you can query it just like that, and you can, type something in the search engine. But what we've done is we've gone one step further, and we've built a co-pilot. We've built it, and it works very similar to a ChatGPT, but this will be in a closed environment using your data and using procurement knowledge. So being able to ask, which ones of my contracts are going to or my top most sustainable hand cream suppliers is due to expire in the next 2 months. Now, asking that information and building dashboard after dashboard after dashboard and maintaining those dashboards is not the way forward. The way forward, and what we see in the next 5 years, is everyone will be asking and querying to get the answers they want straight away. They're not waiting to try for somebody to build out a dashboard, and the cost of building that dashboard and cost of maintaining that dashboard. Now it's in your hands. You can very quickly ask it based on the data that has been ingested in this space. We've worked with, over the last year, 6 different AI languages, including ChatGPT. So when we say we've been working hard on this, we've been working very hard to make sure that the one that we choose is the most secure, the best for our clients. We mentioned some of the clients that we work with, and they are very, very much up on security and making sure that no data is leaked or anything like that. So this is something that we've created. So even our clients, they expect that the information is secure. So even with, for example, a Unilever today, this instance will be their instance, and we would set up a separate instance for another client. So it's not there's no mixing of clients or information. So I'm going to pause there because I've done a lot of talking there. I don't know if we want to take questions right now. I'm happy to wait till the end, but if I'm going too fast, please let me know. If I'm talking too fast, please do let me know as well.
Yeah, I have actually like a follow-up question here, or clarification question. Your tool is system agnostic, right? It can connect with SAP, Oracle, all the systems that for all these tools advanced, right?
Correct. So
Okay,
so just to clarify, we have APIs that we can connect to any system and any data. What we find, and maybe alluding back to start slowly, start now, is if it's a CSV has to be uploaded, absolutely. We're going to take data. And if companies aren't comfortable with sharing some of that data straight away, absolutely. You know, where do we start from? We could start from a simple use case of bringing the third-party data, maybe your name and address data, and maybe just policies data. It could be something very simple like that. It doesn't have to be to an extent where you're testing this data by sending every single piece of data. It could be like but then you know, the answers that you will get back from the chat GPT would state that we don't have that information in the answer. It may, you know, so you may ask it a question, but it won't have the answer because we don't store that data. The idea is that it doesn't have to necessarily be on top of the intelligence platform. However, companies, we feel there's a build versus buy scenario, even with building the intelligence platform. Do you want to build your own data lake? Do you want to maintain your own data lake? Do you want to then add third-party data to that and other data sources to that? And I guess that's another question for the attendees to have a little think about. You know, how have they been doing this today? Is it all on Excel? Is it on different systems? Is it when you
actually, since you mentioned attendees, I see Mr. Abdul Karim Al Ali, he has a question. So please go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Abdul Karim, go ahead.
Hi.
You're unmuted. You can ask your question. Okay, I'm not sure if we lost it or not. Maybe let's see if another attendee has a question.
And Mr. Abdul Karim, you can write your also question in the chat.
Yeah, and also I see the chat here.
Yes.
Awesome is asking, can you share a platform link? Maybe this is to Ajwar. Do you have like a link that can show maybe some capabilities or even like a...
We certainly will if
Okay.
and I'm hoping we're going to have enough time to
Yes, me too.
for me to do what might be a slight live demo, but you know, they can always be tricky. But
yeah, we'll try to have time for the demo, and for all the attendees, all the slides will be shared. Mazen will send all the slides after the session. And I see Abdul Karim is back. I'm not sure if you're unmuted now and can ask your question, or you're still having problems.
Yes. How are everyone? This is Abdul Karim from Saudi Electricity Company, and he was mentioning that the dashboard, it's not the way that we are moving forward in the next 5 years. And my question is, what is the margin percentage of the error? And you know, the data is updating if by the time, and how it's connected, and when you search or using this platform, it's going to be accurate, but to get it at the moment of it.
So in terms of my next slide, if you want to jump on the next slide, it sort of starts to go into some of what has been relatively these are the studies what we've been seeing in terms of using AI versus current methods. And so from a higher quality completion, increase in speed, and more tasks completed was the three measures. And in all cases, generative AI was higher. It's quicker and completing the task as well. So, being quick and completing a task doesn't necessarily mean quality, but this showed that it was all three. So it was a quality result, quicker, and complete task. So in comparison, because human error can happen even via dashboards, you may still not have the data in the background. So the idea here is that it can tell you that you don't have the data in the background. The idea isn't that it's going to be one size fits all.
Yes.
I hope that answers your question.
Yes, pretty much. My concern it was the accuracy and the efficiency of using this platform. It's going to be not going to make, cause another problems that everything has cause and bonds. So it's like you have to be accurate, and this information it's very sensitive because we are dealing with money, especially in procurement.
Of course. And look, the data is still going to be your data. So what the one thing good about, like, rather than going to ChatGPT, for example, if you went to ChatGPT, the data is going to be mixed with non-procurement data, and that can give you false positive information. The idea here is this is your data as well as third-party data, but procurement related. So the idea is that it will have more accuracy than just going to just a generic sort of source of information.
Maybe Ashghar, I'll ask a follow-up question,
Yes.
or even I'll just try to brainstorm it as you. When you guys do a proof of concept, do you guys have like a KPIs that can measure accuracy or efficiency before and after? So let's say right now we'll do proof of concept with whatever company. How can we say that yes, this solution achieved, its potential, and we have like a good rate of return? Maybe this is an answer to Mr. Abdulkareem's question about accuracy to try to compare before and after.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, every POC, we want to make sure that we have, the clear criteria from any one of our clients. So if that is to do with accuracy, of course, we would put in place like what accuracy should we be seeing based on these results. And we again, I would still say we're on early stages with this as well. So we're working with some large organizations right now, and the testing is being done right now. It's being tested by our clients right now, every day. Is it improving? Absolutely. Is it the final product? I don't think so. Like there's still some way to go. There's still improvements to be made, and it's going to get tweaked and it's going to get better. But is it more efficient than current processes? Absolutely. That's one thing that we have tested. We could you could talk about that very, very quickly in a number of cases that we have. Whether or not the results are the desired results based on the data set that we had, that's the test. And yes, absolutely, that can be part of your POC. I hope that answers your question.
And I know, Abdulkareem, sorry, you unmuted yourself. I think you had a follow-up here. Mr.
No,
Abdulkareem.
I just want to say thank you for the explanation.
Great, fantastic. And also, I want to go back to a point that you mentioned, and also Mr. Abdulkareem brought up when you said dashboards are not the way to go anymore. It's more of chat user data in a ChatGPT-like format. So my question is, in your roadmap, do you have like a multimodal AI plan where when you chat, you don't just get text returned, but you also can get some of the graphs drawn for you or plotted for you? Like, do you guys
Uh,
envision? Go ahead, Abdul Karim.
Are you asking me or somebody else?
No, I was asking Ashgar. I was Ashgar. I was
Oh,
following up
sorry,
with your
are you
question,
asking
building
me?
up.
Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
Yeah, because I sorry, I thought you said Abdul Karim. Sorry.
No.
So from right now, the idea is that it's a chat functionality. Of course, there's clients who are going to ask us, what is the next thing? What is the next big
Yes.
thing? Of course, while we're testing this, we're doing some amazing other things at the moment, still in the pipeline. But right for now, this is what we've been focused on for the two areas that we are or Scoutbee are focused on. Maybe
Fantastic.
if you go on to the next slide, I can then just round off our use cases again. So as I mentioned, we have Scoutbee intelligence platform, and as part of that platform, there is a Scoutbee intelligence module, and with that module, you have essentially all of that data that we were talking about earlier on in one place, in one page. So you can query that data, and whether or not that is via AI or whether or not that's via just the search engine on this particular tool, you could do it either or. But having that data in one place, that 360 view, and then being able to query it is the key here. So what we've built is a tool where you can add all of the information in, and then if you click onto the next one. And then we mentioned supplier discovery. Now, this is our bread and butter. Audi used this to get their cars from petrol to electrification. Unilever use us on a daily basis to find who the alternative suppliers might be in a new market or whatever it might be. And Siemens uses us for building power plants and whatever they need to do. So the idea here is that it can be very, very granular in terms of the search. So here, the discovery module is you create a request, and in that request, you could click on whether or not it's a product, service, or capability, and then you type in your information. Just jump onto the next slide. This is where the AI piece comes in. So the co-pilot, that sits on top of intelligence. So on top of your intelligence, you could have a co-pilot, and you can ask it several different questions based on what you're looking for and what you want to glean from the information that you have. If you just click on the next one. And the one that we've just launched right now, or sorry, if you just go back one slide.
Oh, sure. And guide. Yeah, guide.
Yeah, so the AI guide here is the one that overlays on discovery. So here, rather than you having to fill out, like I just showed just a second ago, rather than you having to fill the whole thing out, the guide will guide you using procurement language, making sure that all of the information's already pre-populated. So for instance, if you said, I'm looking for milk cartons, the next question would be, well, have you decided what sort of material you should be looking at? And you might say, well, it could be paperboard, polythene, or it could be both. So actually you can click on those rather than having to think, I should have put in paperboard. So the idea is that you can quickly, it'll guide you, it'll tell you, these are the certificates you should be looking at, or what certificates do you want to look at? What countries do you want to look at? This region's quite good for this. So it'll start guiding your search to give you the best results possible. So those are the two, one on intelligence, your existing suppliers, and one on the new suppliers. So I mentioned I will try and do a demo. We still have a few minutes remaining. How much time do you want at the end, Mohammed?
We can keep 15 minutes for Q&A at the end. 15 or 10 minutes, but I still believe demo is very beneficial.
Yeah, I don't need too long because it's I think the use case is very, very simple. So let me can I share my screen? Is that possible?
I will stop sharing. And Mazen, did you give sharing rights to Ashgar so he can share? I stopped sharing my screen at the moment.
It looks like I can. So I'm going
fantastic.
I'm going to try something, right? So let me
we
just
see your screen.
You can see my screen?
I do, and I assume the rest of attendees can see it, yeah.
Can you see the intelligence platform? Or it's probably whirring now. Can you see this?
We see like good afternoon, search, explore your suppliers.
Search for, brilliant. Okay. So this is the intelligence platform. And what we have on here is the two modules we spoke about. So what we've got here is we've just got a sample set of suppliers, by the way. In here, it's about 500 odd suppliers. And these are your existing suppliers, essentially. But the idea we've been talking about is the co-pilot. So I'm going to go on to the co-pilot here. So this will be your co-pilot that sits on top of that data that we spoke about earlier on. So the idea behind this is we mentioned a couple of different examples, and we can populate. I'm just going to type this in. Which one of my existing suppliers are affected by EU sanctions outlined in our purchasing policy, for instance? There might be a question that you want to ask. And this is a live demo, so apologies if it runs a bit slow. But my I was thinking about doing this via a video, but I thought it might be better if I just threw a few examples at it and showed you what companies are doing with their data. Sorry, my computer's whirring away, so I'm
just fine. I think
something.
I actually love the idea of like a live demo. Yes, this is fantastic. So here in this scenario, go ahead.
This is our own data in the background. And the idea is that we're trying to find these companies. And not just that, what do we then do? You know, do we go and find alternatives? Do we need to check our compliance policy? What do we need to do? You can ask it other questions, by the way. So you can go from that question, you could ask it a next question, or you could go into each one of the companies. Something slightly different would be asking it about a contract that you have right now, somebody you're working with. So in this case, I want to ask them about a chemicals company. I know we've got Angel Chemicals in here, so that's why I'm clicking on this at the moment. But again, the idea is once that data's there, you can start asking, what do Angel Chemicals do? And in this position, we could say, what is the pricing structure for this? Let's say we want to ask it what the pricing structure is. And in this case, and this might answer the question for Abdul Karim earlier on, it'll give you some idea of the company and the data that we hold on this particular account, but it starts then going into the details about whether or not we have the pricing structure for products can vary depending on, so I guess the idea is that you can continue asking it questions based on what you're looking for. So it might be within my current contract, what is the day terms that we've given them? What is the, is it something different versus what we have within our existing clients? So yeah, that's a couple of examples, but yeah, we can pretty much type whatever we want and go whichever direction that we want as well.
Right, Ashgar, I know we have 2 minutes left for the Q&A, But what I want
Yes.
to ask you here, does the tool only give you the limitation to choose between those 3 questions, or allow users to type their own questions?
Oh,
like they want?
your own questions. Yeah, this is
Yes.
just
Okay.
This is just a guide of like, you know, where you
Guide.
could
Okay.
go. Yeah. So the
Beautiful.
idea is like, you know, like if you're talking about contracts, then it'll or cost pricing, well, then it'll start asking you questions that might be related to that.
Okay.
So or PO or this or that. But you can ask it whatever you want, really. You could say, you know, like you know, these are the ones that are typically used, and this is why I'm saying.
Yes.
But you could quite easily say, so I got another example, and I probably won't have time for it now, but you know, the example would be like, you know, Russia right now. How many of my contracts are in Russia right now? What do I buy from Russia? And I click on those things. What do I buy from Russia? These are the items you buy from Russia. Do you want to look in your existing supplier base, or do you want to go and find new suppliers? So it just starts asking you those questions. It'll start asking you the types of questions that are going to be relevant based on the question that you've asked. So which ones are expiring contracts and things like that. So yeah, it'll stick around that. So I'm happy to send a separate video of that example. It's a risk and resilience example that customers, one of our major customers wanted that particular one. So they've just got a widget that says risky countries or whatever it might be, and you just type in the country and it'll show you the contracts that you have within that country, essentially.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I see here we're 15 minutes.
Yes, I'm going to stop here actually. And I would have given you a quick demo on the AI assistant, but this works in exactly the same way. So if I was looking for glass doors, oh, can't even spell it. Sorry.
Maybe it's smart enough to correct it. Let's see.
It is actually smart enough to correct it.
Yeah.
So as you can see, you know, what sort of glass doors are you looking for? Frosted, you know, whatever. Anyway, the whole point is that it'll start aiding you, and you go through this keywords, the application areas, the certificates, locations, and it'll guide you through that process to go and make sure that the criteria that you put together and the list that you get, even if I just move on from here and I just want a list, I could just possibly press this. But
yeah,
I don't want to force it. But like I'll stop here for now, because again, it works in exactly the same way. You know, just asking it questions, and I'm just clicking on next, or I can add data in there, and the idea is it'll come back with a list of companies that I could potentially work with.
Yeah, Asghar, let's pause here. I want to make sure we give the platform also the opportunity to our dear attendees. We make this for you, gentlemen. So we want to have this to be interactive. So feel free to ask questions. This is the opportunity. If you want questions for us or for Asghar, we would love to have them or to be engaged with you.
And maybe till questions come, what I want to say here is that what I love about this solution is that you cannot do this using ChatGPT or Bard, because this is your own data. And what you guys did here is that you took the customer's own data, you made sure it's secure and safe, and then they gave them ability to chat with it using ChatGPT like. So this information, if you go on OpenAI, you cannot find it. You cannot interact with your information like this. And
yeah, it's very powerful. And again, in my day-to-day work here, and someone in supply chain, I wish I can have a tool like that. Honestly. So Asghar, let me ask you here also, if someone wants to implement or want to start, how are they gonna start? Is it like a certain like a prerequisition needed? If it's like what is the recent use case that you using or your racing customer that it really, I would say, non-brainer, just execute it very quickly and you have a ROI quickly for habits? It's like,
yeah, look, the risk one is the risk and resilience is always key, right? Everyone wants to understand risk, and everyone wants to understand you know, the risks of working with a supplier. So that one's a really, really simple one where companies decide we'll give you name and address, locations, we'll give you our locations, and we will then bring in third-party data into that, and that's where you start, you know, querying it for risk, and that's always been the first and foremost. But there's simple, it really depends on where a company is within their journey, right? So I'll be honest with you, this is not a short journey, and when companies try to build this themselves, it really isn't a short journey. It took one of my clients 18 months just to get to the point where they had decided that they wanted to do what Scoutbee had already built. So it took them 18 months just in discussion time. And now they're building this, or they're building part of this and using Scoutbee for part of this. But the building part is that they're building some of the data lake themselves, right? Because right now, even their data is disparate. It's so disparate that they need to connect their own data up. And so it really depends on where they are within their journey. You know, everyone has to start somewhere. I mentioned the 5-year mark. Look, you know what it's like. People who decided they weren't going to use Google, you know, got left behind. It's just one of those things. This is just another thing. This is just a better way of doing things, right? And it's here to stay. So companies are looking to do even a small amount, but they just have to be sure that they can see value from that small amount. And we can show that as well. I think that's so the long-winded answer to your question is it really depends on where a client is within their journey. I showed you those 3 steps, you know, fix your data, essentially connect it and then query it. Like if you're on that fixing stage, well, we can support you in that challenge. If you're on the next stage, we can support you in that challenge. If you're in the next stage, we can support you in that challenge. And companies are in different stages right now. And obviously TDM team can support in bringing that data together and consulting on that part of it, because that's not something that we do. We just bring the technology, right? So it's up to TDM to then say, look, this is how you deploy it, and this is the best way to deploy it. For me, it's start small and work out what's the most valuable for you, and start there, basically.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. It's a journey. I know, like, it's not like a something to recognize ROI in like 2 months, right? It's a journey, and we have to, like, we need like any customer needs an SME, subject matter expert, to collaborate with for a solution like that. Again, I'm opening the stage here for attendees. Gentlemen, if you have questions, there's the best time to take them.
I saw just a quick question, someone asking to share the recording with them, and I assume Mazen will share the recording with everyone after this. But apart from sharing recordings, this is an open discussion, open forum. If you guys want to know about Scoutbee's solution or about how TDM and Scoutbee can help you reach your goals, this is the time to ask. Yeah, I don't see anything else coming in the Q&A right now.
So if there isn't any specific questions, maybe I can ask a question to the attendees, and
Please.
you know, just around, you know, obviously the AI is of interest for them as teams. How, you know, where in their challenges do they put having discovering AI and how AI might be able to support their journey. Where does it rank in their challenges that they want to try and not fix, but at least look into this year?
Or it could even be what challenges they're facing. And
yeah, absolutely.
I don't mean to put anyone on the spot, but since Abdul Karim was asking us, I hope he can answer this question from the point of view of the Saudi Electric Company. What challenges are facing them? Abdul Karim, would you like to share with us what challenges are facing your group?
So this question is a very sensitive question.
Okay.
As of now, because I think my manager is here too, and I'm not allowed to
Understood.
speak on behalf of a huge company that's covered the whole of the area and their procurement, huge procurement. But what I know, we are doing very good job in procurement. We have changed a lot of things. We have overcome a lot of challenges too, and we are, I think, we are recognized by the government too as a work process. Also, we have worked with different consult companies. I will keep their names in private too, and we have succeeded in many ways when it comes to the procurement department. And yeah, that's pretty much about the procurement in Saudi Arabia and Saudi Electricity Company.
Abdul Karim, maybe just if in terms of AI, how important is that to you guys? Like I know you've come maybe for today just to learn out what AI is doing and where it might be able to support you.
I will be honest with that question. I'm not going to go deep dive in it, but also I'm going to give you like overall observation. I mean, opinion about it. It's AI. It's coming very quickly, and it's very like it's going to be the future. But when it's going to have control of everything around us, it's going to take time. And AI, it's as you said, it's in the first stages, and it's not that validated or not that. I mean, we can really lean on and hand it over everything, because any mistake it's going to have, it's going to cause us a lot of problems. And our services, it's covering all the area, as I said before, and everyone, even us here right now, we are using their services. We are as we speak, and that's going to affect the people right away. So we are developing. We are. It's not out of the table, but we are working on it. We are just like playing around. It's not very deep, but still, it's in the table, and it's if it's going to, work with us, it will be very helpful. But we have to make sure it's very like it's very, how can I say it, trusted or something like that to work with. But
yeah, absolutely. I totally understand what you're saying. I think your sentiments are what everyone's thinking. It's not proven, it's not, so they are dabbling in this. So they, like, you're looking, testing this out and trying things out. That's exactly where we see clients coming on board with us. It's because they want to start testing, they want to, and you may not make a massive decision based off the AI today, but it's understanding what sort of decisions it can make and help you with as well. So yeah.
And maybe Ajor, let me add one thing here. So yes, since AI is like kind of new to all use cases and no one wants to fully trust AI. So now there's a concept which is called man in the middle. So man in the middle means that, and this applies to every use case probably every Gen AI technology I've seen, man in the middle means that you'll give your data to AI, AI will make a decision, but this decision will not be implemented till it's reviewed by someone. So someone who's a subject matter expert in the company, someone who knows, will seize up that comes from the AI, which is for example, in your case, recommending this supplier or recommending to do this or that. They seize it, they review it, they approve it, then it takes effect. So I believe this man in the middle is very important till AI becomes like fully mature and can make decisions on its own, which is probably several years from now.
Look, human in the loop's been around for a long, long time, right? And all we're saying now is we're trusting AI more and more and more. It's just gradually getting to a point that it's because the human part here is actually adding the data, all the right data sources that should be in there in the first place, right? So there is you know, so there's always a human element right here, so yeah, look, this is a discussion like from before, like I would say, you know, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, people were using 20% AI, 80% you know, human in the loop. That human in the loop has, as we've shown right at the start, you know, tasks have grown and the amount of people doing those tasks has been decreasing slowly. So your quality of work is going to suffer if you continue to try and do this all by human. So at some point we have to start trusting the technology, and I think it's when you start trusting the technology, when you fully give it over, as you mentioned, a human in the loop. There's always some human, and there is always some human element within this, even today.
True.
Yeah, I know we have like almost no time here, but I have a follow-up question to Mr. Abdelkarim. Out of today's presentation webinar, did you see anything, or what is the most thing that struck you like, yeah, that actually could make sense in my new world? You know what I mean? Is anything you saw today with Mr. Ashgar was presenting that you think it could be adding value in your world?
Sure, it's very helpful, and it's going to help us a lot. And if it's implemented right and very in the very right way, it's good. It's going to help us a lot in many different ways. And maybe we're going to connect it to run the data and see what is the best supplier, and initiate the PR by itself, connect it and do the integration with the system and the planning, and connect it with the purchasing department to generate the POs and do the analysis. It's going to help us a lot if it's going to be very governance. That's it. But it's very helpful. I mean, it's new information and new, thank you so much for sharing that with us.
No worries. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you so much. We're in time exactly. We took the full hour. It was very informative, very useful, I believe. So thank you so much, Shahar and Scoutbee, for co-hosting this webinar with TDM. We're looking forward to future projects together, of course, in the Saudi market. And thank you so much for all the attendees for attending this and making it a forum to discuss AI and procurement in general. Any last words, Talha, you want to add before we conclude?
Yes, Muhammad. I will say it by Arabic. شكرا for everybody. شكرا للجميع الحضور، وإن شاء الله نلتقيكم في أيضا ورش أخرى لنقل المعرفة, another workshop for transfer knowledge. And if you need any help, we are here. You can communicate with any person from the team. شكرا for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks. Bye-bye.